Hey guys, this is a bit of a different video for you today. I am going to share a bit of a sort of life update, some things that have been going on with me, and just some personal stuff that I don't normally talk about here on the channel. And my hope is that because there's been, like with all of us, I've just had so many learning opportunities over these past few years, that my hope is that there are some nuggets and insights in here that will be helpful for you as well. I'm going to share with you two things that I've been absolutely obsessed with lately and am learning as much as I possibly can about, and they are changing my life. And I really think everybody should be obsessed with these two things as well. I'm also going to let you know what this YouTube journey has been like. So give you a bit of a behind the scenes look into all of this. This channel has been running for 4 years now, and it has been absolutely insane. There is so much going on that you don't see on the other side of the camera, and so much more involved in all of this. It's so much more of a roller coaster than people would probably imagine. So just give you kind of a real look and insight into what this journey has been like. And if you're thinking about doing something like this yourself, just a couple quick tips on what might make this go smoothly for you and help you be more successful. I also want to share with you some of my bigger challenges that I've been facing lately. These last couple of years have actually been incredibly tough for me, and it's easy to project or try and project this image of life is perfect and everything is good and I've got it all figured out, but it's certainly not the case. I've had some very challenging things I've been going through, and although I haven't figured it all out by a long shot, I have learned things throughout that journey that are helping me to work through those things. So hopefully some of that will be helpful for you as well. And then also I'd love to share with you some of my successes recently and some of the things that I'm most proud of and the things that are bringing me joy. And then lastly, I will talk about this post-recovery phase after chronic illness, because it's something that we don't talk about much. How do you navigate life once you recover? We make it look like you get chronic fatigue syndrome or ME or long COVID or whatever, and then you go through this hellish journey, and then you finally, after all your hard work, you find your way past it and you reach this finish line and you live happily ever after, and you have no more problems because you're healthy. And what else could possibly be challenging after being through what you've just been through? But it's not that easy. So just to let you know some of the hurdles and obstacles I've faced and some of the things that have been helping me figure out this post-illness phase of life. And this video is probably going to be a bit long. I certainly don't expect you to watch the whole thing. It will be time-stamped, so feel free to jump around to the parts that interest you. Or if you'd like to stay with me for the whole journey here, that could be fun too. All right, so as I dive into this new year, I've also been thinking about my look. I tend to hopefully look like I try to dress nicer. In the beginning, when I started the channel, I had zero money, so my clothes were inexpensive and limited. But despite however it's looked to you, I've always been trying my best to present something polished that shows you that I take this very seriously. And to me, sometimes that's dress shirts and all sorts of things, and nails always done, and fake eyelashes, and the whole thing. But this is 2024, and I live in NorCal, which is what people in Northern California call Northern California. No one else does. They just seem to be hoping it will stick. But we are home to a Silicon Valley, like the tech hub of the world. Where everyone's going to work in jeans and sneakers and hoodies and doing amazing things. So trying to give myself that kind of free way to be more comfortable in these videos, sometimes at least, as well. And also, I think this look is getting a little tired. I mean, look at these ends. I don't think there's any salvaging them. But the good news is that it's not my hair. So I can just take it off. Yeah, I think it's time for new year, new me, new look. But this, I think, also can't be the new look. So give me 1 minute. Okay. Much better. I'm not saying I'm never going to wear a wig again because I am busy, and they are an amazing hack for saving time. I just want to have the choice, and I'm sure I'll still put dress shirts on sometimes, but everything, or so much of what I've been reading lately about just what makes humans happy and thrive, is that they want freedom. We want freedom in our careers, in our jobs, in our day-to-day work, in our finances. We want to be able to make choices, have the freedom to make choices. So this is the gift I'm giving myself this year, is to do whatever I want to do. Okay, so my 2 obsessions. The first one that is something that I got into, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. I've lost track, but I took a course on AI, artificial intelligence, just a short course. It was, I think, 3 days, a couple hours a day. And it has absolutely changed my life. And I'm sure it's impacting yours in some way. It is making its way into virtually everything. In the beginning, which was like 20 minutes ago, it was just, you went to ChatGPT or to specific platforms and you kind of had to know how to use them. But now it's popping up in all these different tools that we use. And I imagine you've already seen how it can make your life better. Not saying it's perfect, not saying it doesn't have its challenges and it's things that you need to be wary of, but harnessing AI has been such a productivity game changer. It helps me with so many things. I can do research so much more quickly. It can help me with creative things. It gives me ideas for so many things that I do with this channel, thumbnails and titles, and just, analyzing content and giving me ideas. It can write up drafts for things and help you with all sorts of creative stuff. It creates images and graphics and music, and it just goes on and on and on. So I am absorbing and reading and learning everything I absolutely can to figure out how to bring or to harness AI in as many different ways as possible. Because one of my biggest challenges has been overwhelm and flirting with burnout and just too many things to do. So this makes things easier. And, there's some hesitation around AI. And one of them is that, it's going to take away people's jobs. And, what the people who are really tapped into this believe and are seeing and are telling us is that it's not going to take our jobs. What it's going to be is the people that really embrace it and learn how to use it and incorporate it in their lives. Those are the people that might take your jobs. And even careers aside, it's just, I think, a really cool thing to play around with. So if you have any opportunities to make use of this, I would invite you to consider doing so. And I put together a free guide, I'll link it in the video description, for how to use ChatGPT to do health research. Now, of course, you can't take it as professional advice and it's not perfect, but it does have value. And it's a pretty simple process, and this guide walks you through step by step if you've never used ChatGPT before, and just kind of how to talk to it and some specific prompts and how to tailor it to really get at the information that you're looking for. So AI. Obsession number 2, all things brain retraining. And yes, in relation to ME/CFS recovery and long COVID recovery, but for me, I have been learning about it in relation to so many different things in life, because it has the ability to change so many things in our experience of this world. It helps us with, if you understand brain retraining and neuroplasticity and how symptoms are generated and how your threat assessment systems work, you can start to work with that and better understand what's happening in the moment. And it helps you to create better habits. It helps you around eating, exercise, stress, confidence, anxiety, addictions, all different sorts of things. Like, let's say, for example, one of my not so great coping mechanisms is if I'm feeling really stressed or overwhelmed, I want to reach for a glass of wine. And I've been putting a lot of limits around that and making sure that it's not taking over. And a part of that is in that moment. So let's say you're like, I'm going to have a drink right now. That's just an automatic neural pathway in your brain. Something is happening. Something A triggered B, and it's just going to give you outcome C every single time, unless you interrupt it, shine a light on it, and start maybe creating a new neural pathway that creates a different response. So I want to drink right now. Why is that? Is it because I'm stressed? Is it because I'm in some sort of social situation where I think it's expected? Is it because I'm bored or lonely? And for you, this could be food, other drugs, spending money, whatever it might be. We've all got our things. There's nobody who doesn't struggle with something. So no shame around any of this. But just thinking about it in that moment. And if it's that I'm stressed, can I do something else instead? Can I go for a walk? Can I meditate? Can I play with my dog? And so forth. So interrupting those patterns and building new ones. So understanding neuroplasticity and having tools to work with it is one of the most powerful things that you can learn about to help you shape your life, your destiny, your future, your current moments. And it is very much important in health with recovery from conditions like ME, CFS, and long COVID, and so forth. So many people are finding that when they understand what's happening here, they understand how symptoms are being generated. They understand their threat assessment systems, how their amygdala works, how their limbic system works, how their autonomic nervous system works, how all of this was designed for an environment that looks nothing like the one that we now live in, and how sometimes it can get into a hypersensitive or overprotective state, and this can involve generating symptoms and understanding that so many symptoms are neurological in origin. We think of them as happening in the place in our body where we experience them, but many times it's just something in your brain triggering something in your body to get your attention, to try and keep you safe. And it helps me be way more relaxed with symptoms, even now that I'm well. Like, I've started jumping into our pool at our apartment. It's winter here in NorCal, which means it's cold. Not snow cold, but it's cold. I took Blue's, where's he? Hey, guys. I took got this little ducky thermometer for his baths, and I took it into the pool, and it's the same temperature as ice baths. So all the ice baths that everyone's doing, this pool is the same temperature. And when I jump in, after about a minute, my hands start hurting, and my feet start hurting, and my neck starts hurting. And I don't panic, because I know I'm going to get out right away. So I know I'm not in any danger. And in that moment, it helps me to just relax and get through the experience, because I remind myself, I'm like, okay, this is my brain doing a threat assessment, and it has assessed that I am in danger. So it is signaling pain in my extremities, the parts that are at danger first, my hands, my feet, and giving them pain to alert me that I need to start protecting them so that they'll be okay. But I know that in that moment, there's no actual structural damage happening in my hands or feet. It's just a threat assessment system. It's a warning system. And yes, in time, in some situations, damage can happen. Like, let's say I stayed in that pool for 24 hours. Probably not going to be okay. But I know I'm taking myself out. I know I'm fine. And just like a check engine light that comes on, or a check oil light that comes on in your car, like someone I interviewed recently gave this great example. Forgetting who, but if your oil is fine, but the oil light keeps coming on, the issue is probably that check oil light. So it's not so much the structural problem, but it's the warning system. So this is what is happening a lot of times in conditions like ME, CFS, and long COVID. I find it helpful to think of there being a little controller in your brain. Think of a person with this board in front of them with a whole bunch of buttons, and their job all day is to alert you to things that you need to be aware of and keep you safe. So they might be like, nausea on, it thinks you might be eating something poisonous, fatigue on, pain on, you're too close to the fire. And then it's like, okay, nausea off, fatigue off. So how you feel and whether symptoms are turned on or turned off is largely a result of what's happening up here. And understanding how these threat assessment systems and just everyday emotions and fears and repressed traumas, big T and little t traumas, and just different things that we're carrying around are causing us to feel better or worse. And having tools to deal with those things and to rewire those neural pathways, because they're being triggered automatically. Becoming sick with ME, CFS, or long COVID for many people is like an exercise in being an expert at being sick. You become afraid of everything. It is a unfortunate downward spiral that a threat assessment went off, and now you get all these symptoms, but now they're freaking you out. So now you have even more fear and panic, and then you're getting even more scared, and just on it goes. And it becomes like exercise danger, sitting up too long danger, too long on my phone danger, going to work danger, leaving my house danger. And it just, your body clamps you down with symptoms, trying to keep you in your cave, because this is where it evolved to thrive. It thinks we live in caves, and on it goes. So it's about retraining, because the brain retraining was happening the whole time with your illness. So it's now creating new neural pathways, interrupting those, having tools to interrupt those, and then creating new neural pathways that are messages of safety around all of these things, so that it will stop generating these symptoms that are causing you to suffer. All right, so 2 things I think everyone should invest as much time as they can learning about: AI and brain retraining. Will change your life. Now, this YouTube journey, I started with just a cell phone and a very cheap clip-on mic sitting in front of my window trying to get enough light, and terrified. no idea what I was doing. And it took me months to even get myself to record that first video because I was just so scared and intimidated by it. But I really felt strongly that the journey I had been through with my health had to be for something. And I also had made this bargain or promise with the universe when I was sick that if I got better, I'd do everything that I could to spread information to other people about how to get past this, because I know what the hell it is. So I knew it was important. I knew I had to do it, but I was terrified. And then I finally did it. And like I've shared many times, those first months, every week when my video would go live in the morning, the night before, I'd have to take a sleeping pill because I was so nervous. I would just be up all night, just terrified. The internet was such a scary, scary place. But the good news is when you first start out and you have no one watching your videos and you have no subscribers is that people aren't mean to you. So it's actually not such a scary place. In the beginning, it feels like a lot of work that you wonder why you're doing it. And when in the beginning, and it's a lot of work always, it's an insane amount of work. It's impossible to exaggerate, I think, how much work this all is. And in the beginning, you really don't know what you're doing. So everything takes 10 times longer. And then as you get better, you just find other ways to make it 10 times longer. Like, how can I make it better? Let's add in all these other things. So you're doing all this work and then nobody's watching your videos. You're not making any money. And as time goes on, you just start spending money because you realize you need better equipment and software and all of that. So in the beginning, it feels for virtually everyone just like this long fruitless journey, and you just have to be committed to like, I'm gonna talk to this camera every week. I'm gonna treat it like a job, which is what I have done since day one. I've been absolutely committed. It's a non-negotiable that I get these videos out, and I'm gonna keep doing them. And in the beginning, I learned from some of the other gurus out there that the focus is just quantity over quality. And it's not that you're not trying to make your videos good. This is a tip if you're starting out, but you're going to learn the most from just putting them out there and seeing the feedback from people and just watching your own videos and seeing what you think is good and then what could be better, and then committing every single video, trying to get at least 1% better. Because if you can get just a little bit better with every video that you do, then your trajectory, my favorite word, is going the right direction and you're going to get somewhere good. And I think anyone who commits to it, it might be a few years, but if you put in the work and you keep improving as you go, you will get there, and this could turn into something for you. But it's been helpful for me to think of this kind of like going back to university part-time or something on the side that doesn't make me any money and in fact costs me a lot of money and costs me a lot of time, but I'm investing in my future. Because although all this started as a sort of sharing information, it very quickly turned into something that I was passionate about. And like so many people that go through these journeys, like I don't want to do what I used to do. And I've been working full-time just about this whole time, the last 3 years anyways. And it's a lot. It is a ton juggling a demanding full-time job and all of this. But the reason I do it is because it is an investment in my future, and it is rewarding and valuable even in its own right now. For me personally, because I learn a ton, and I hope for other people as well, because in whatever scale, however small or modest or humble, we are getting information out on this channel, helpful information, and sharing a lot of people's stories, which is a really incredible thing. Another thing that people don't realize watching these videos is my videos, anyone you're watching on YouTube who has at least, I don't know, 10, 20, 30,000 followers, it's not just them doing it, because it's so much work to put out videos that do well at that volume. Even though, generally speaking, in the big picture of YouTube, that's not that much. It's still a ton of work. So, and we're all kind of told to make it look like a one-person show because the people watching develop a sort of relationship or a like respect or a like for or something for the person that they're watching. And so you kind of just give this illusion that it's all you. But there has been a team behind me that has been slowly growing over time, and now they do so much of the work, so much of what you see that has my name on it, even though I'm involved in all of it, is a lot of their work, whether it's helping with outlines for videos, all of the video editing, making thumbnails, coming up with titles, answering emails, running my Facebook group, helping with the weekly email newsletters, just all sorts of things. I have Hansel, my video editor. Shout out to you. He is incredible. I have Irina, who joined initially doing illustrations on my Instagram account. I don't know if you saw them. They are incredible. She makes these sort of cartoons about the recovery stories, her favorite parts of them, just to help bring them to life. But now she does so much. She's kind of the true manager of our team. And I've Brian, who is our tech wizard and productivity and organizational expert and a zillion other things, and Beth, who supports our Facebook group. It's a lot. And I struggle with this because I don't want to be taking credit for other people's work. And also, part of the struggle has just been admitting that I can't do it all myself. One of the things I learned is that when you do something like this, like start your own entrepreneurial thing of any sort, whether it's YouTube or whatever it might be, is to think of yourself as an octopus. So you're this one octopus show doing all the jobs, and each of your arms is doing something else. You're like marketing, accounting, management, content creation, production, all of the stuff. And then your job as the creator of this whole thing, the founder of this entrepreneurial thing, is to chop off arms as much as you can. So it's about letting go and trusting other people and getting help, so that it can be a much better thing, a way infinitely better thing than it could ever be if you were just doing it on your own. And don't tell my boss, but I have a countdown timer on my phone, because one day I just want to do all of this full time and not be juggling 2 jobs. It's incredibly challenging to be funneling so much time and energy into this day job when it's not where my heart and my passion is. But it is reality when you live in NorCal. You need a good paying job because it's very expensive to live here. And it's a good job, and I work with good people, and I'm grateful for them. But ultimately, no, don't need to read it. I put a countdown. I don't remember how long ago, but I'm at, if you can see, 513 days right now until I plan to put my notice in. And I know that feels a ways out, but it's helpful for me to have something to look forward to and to remember that this is temporary. So much of this YouTube journey has been like my illness journey. So many of the things that got me through that are getting me through this. It's, acceptance that this is the way things are now, and I can't immediately change that, and just to be at peace with that. And also knowing that this isn't the way that things are going to be forever, and that there is a new, different future waiting for me that I am working towards. And interesting insights, or if you're just curious about how I or we, the team, decide what type of videos to do or which ones do better or worse, it's interesting to see. I do mostly interviews, but I'm trying to do a lot of solo videos as well. And the interviews do solidly decent. Some of them do really quite well, but they're stable, they're predictable. Whereas the solo ones have the potential to do really, really well or really, really tank. Like my absolute best videos and my absolute worst performing videos or solo videos. So they're always a bit of a gamble. And if you look at my most popular videos of all time, it's a little bit bizarre. They're mostly solo videos, and the interviews, for whatever reason, patriarchy, the ones with the men seem to on average do better than the ones with the women. So we have a couple that have made it into the top 10. We have Jason and Ben, and also Dan. So the 3 of them always popular on the channel. What has been really interesting is that this little parasites video that was a sleeper for about a year, it did nothing, recently just took off. And by the time this video goes live, it'll probably be my #1 video of all time. So I don't know how the voodoo of YouTube works, but suddenly this one that nobody cared about for a really long time is going to be my top performer. And if you look at the top 2 videos as well, the titles and the thumbnails are a little bit clickbaity, but they are what Ali Abdal, who I constantly quote, a doctor turned YouTuber, calls being on the right side of clickbait. So they are delivering what the video is promising, but it's using a little bit of a dramatic language or a little bit of something to kind of pull you in. Like, I have parasites. Yes, I did have parasites, but it was like this microscopic thing that they suspect everybody has, and it was causing me no issues. But the video itself really breaks down so many different things to do with parasites, what to do if you get them, how to detect them, and all of that. So the value in the video was there. So I get pushback from people sometimes on some of the video titles that I use because they sound a little bit like I cured chronic fatigue syndrome, a little dramatic sounding, but I'm better. And I was sick for 10 years. So it's not like you open it up and it's a video about knitting. It's delivering what it's saying it's delivering. So if you just wonder about some of these videos, that's what's happening there. And the whole purpose of all of this is to get this in front of as many people as possible. One, because that's how it's going to help the most people. And two, that's how it's going to help my countdown dream come true. So I have to work with the system a little bit. If I just give you really boring but completely accurate titles, no one's going to watch them. Like, I got a parasite test and everything's fine, kind of anticlimactic, but here are the results anyways. No one's going to watch that. So to date, about 350 videos, over 130 interviews, which is absolutely incredible. Over 2 million views so far, which is mind-blowing because in the beginning I would get about 9 views per video. So we really are getting somewhere. And for a long time, people have been asking me a lot to do coaching, which I don't know where the space in my life for coaching even fits in. I barely keep up with all of this. And it didn't seem like the most impactful use of my time when I have so little time is to do this one-on-one focused work with people. And then also people asking for like courses and different things. But for a long time, I thought, I don't have confidence in what I would put in that course. I don't feel that I have, because I take this very seriously and I'm not going to waste your time or my time. So I just wasn't ready and it wasn't there. But after, over 130 interviews, it became very clear that we are figuring some things out. And I am uniquely positioned to talk to doctors and specialists and program creators all over the world and interview people who have recovered and figured out what worked and what didn't and what about the programs helped them. And it's not just them. I get thousands of messages from people all over the world, emails, DMs, comments, messages. I am fortunate to be connected with so many people and just have a wealth of information coming at me. It's pretty spectacular that there's even a team of doctors and academics and researchers who are looking at taking these recovery interviews on this channel and transcribing them, doing data analysis, looking for themes, and publishing the findings in medical journals. So we are really learning some things here. So I did finally get to a point where not only did I think it's time that I put something out there, but I felt an obligation. Like I have information that I know can help people. So I need to put it out there. I need to make this a priority. I took time off from my day job and I got it done. So I did. One of my proud moments as of recently is that I did put out a course launched earlier this month. It's called Brain Retraining 101 for ME, CFS and Long Covid recovery. We know that there are different aspects to recovery from these conditions and there isn't a one-size-fits-all plan and we don't understand everything. That being said, there's no denying that the biggest thing that is helping people is working with your autonomic nervous system, your threat assessment systems, your amygdala, your limbic system, working with your brain, understanding neuroplasticity, having tools for creating new neural pathways, for dealing with the fear, for dealing with the trauma, for just getting all of that on track, because it has the most profound impact for the vast majority of people. So if you're interested, I'll link it in the video description. It is a self-paced online course. It is in small, easy, digestible chunks that you do at your own pace. I, of course, hope that people take it. I hope that the course does well, but I have a very different approach towards this course than I have towards other things in the past. I know that the information is solid. I know that it can help people. I know that I am fulfilling that promise to the universe I made, that I will do everything I can to put information out for people. And it's there. It's a tool. So if you think that this is something is helpful, then it's there for you. And if this is still in the early launch days, the first 2 weeks, there's a promo code also I'll include in the description where you can get 20% off. So yeah, very exciting. All right, my biggest challenges lately, my biggest struggles, and some of my wins. The biggest struggles for me by far for the last probably 3 years now have been overwhelm and isolation. I have been juggling 2 jobs for about the first year, I was working 7 days a week. And then I was really proud of myself because I scaled it back to 6 days a week. Now, for the most part, I do 5 days a week. With the course launch, kind of went back to weekends for a bit, but I will get that boundary back in place. And 12-hour days, sometimes 14-hour days. When I used to hear people saying this, I kind of thought they were exaggerating. But now I know they probably weren't, because I've been doing it for a really long time. And it's been a really interesting or a really nice thing to see what my body and my brain are capable of, because I've been pushing to the limits for a long time. And I keep going and I feel fine and I'm okay. I mean, I get tired and all of the normal stuff. And sometimes I do feel those little signs from my nervous system, and it does feel very CFS-ish. So, I cured my CFS. I don't know that anyone ever does, because we're talking about components of our body that are actually functioning as they should, just not responding to our modern day environment very well. So my autonomic nervous system isn't going away. I never want it to. So there are all times where it's still going to send me symptoms. So I don't know that it's ever gone. I think it's just 99% gone. And when it does poke its little head up, you know what's happening and you know how to deal with it. So overwhelm, just from doing way too much. And it feels like I'm constantly flirting with burnout. And I'm working on that. And there's a couple of different types of burnout that are out there that we understand. And one is this overwhelm burnout, which is the classic burnout we think of. And then one is misalignment burnout. So the vast majority of my time doesn't go to this. The vast majority of my time goes to my day job that pays the bills, with my very real boss, with very real high expectations and meetings and all of that stuff. And it is very taxing to invest so much into that when it isn't getting me here. And as lovely as most of those people are, it's not what, lights me up in here and just brings me that contentment and satisfaction in my life that I'm looking for. So it's a tug of war, between two laptops, my personal laptop and my work laptop. And even though I separate them 100%, because it is exhausting to literally go back and forth between the two. But it's still every day those two laptops are there and both demanding a lot of time. And this is so important, and it's so challenging for me to not be able to pour all of myself into it. And the way that I'm dealing with this is 100% what I learned in recovering from chronic illness. And I took some notes on this because I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think it's really important. And I think these are some of the tools that we learn from this nightmare we go through, that it would be a waste if we didn't remember them and hold on to them and use them for all the tough times that are still coming, because tough times are coming. And also a note on that, seeing how hard I can push myself and all of this stress that I can be under and that I don't get sick shows you how resilient we are, which has been part of the learning process for me, that physically I'm strong, mentally I am strong, I can handle stress, we're meant to handle stress, I don't need to be afraid of stress, work to minimize it, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be catastrophe. Because initially I thought, oh my goodness, this is the perfect storm that everyone on this channel talks about before they get sick. I'm creating it right in front of me in my life right now. Like, what am I doing? And although I think you do have to be careful, also know that you're strong and you're okay. You can handle a lot. Okay, so the formula for facing these sorts of things, what I did with illness, what I'm doing now, is remind myself that it can feel like right now what I'm going through is never going to change. Like, this is going to be my life forever. Juggling 2 jobs, exhausted, misalignment burnout, overwhelm burnout, and this is just my life. But reminding myself that things can and will change. The only constant in life is change. And if you are actively working on it, on changing things, just little tiny steps every day, you just need time and you will get there. So just reminding myself, okay, this is where I am. I'm going to have some acceptance and some peace with where I am. Not acceptance that this is how it's always going to be, but acceptance that this is where I am now. And just trust in myself and in that future, and that it is coming, and find ways in this moment, in this journey, to still find joy, to enjoy the process as much as I can, to remember that the journey is quite often the destination, because there is no happily ever after waiting for, I'd say, any of us. Life just keeps going and we keep setting new goals and we keep being faced with new challenges. So we always have to find ways to find peace and contentment and joy in whatever phase of our life that we're in. So that's what I'm doing now. And it's also 100% belief in my ability to do this. So I believe that I can maybe not reach this exact to countdown date. It might be twice as long. Who knows? But I know I'll get there eventually. And when you're going through challenging times, just to make sure to zoom out every once in a while and see how far you've come. I think it was Katie who I interviewed ages ago, early on the channel. She said, when you're climbing a mountain, you can't just keep focusing on that peak. You have to stop every once in a while and look back and see how far you've come and celebrate that and celebrate all the little successes along the way. Like it's very tempting for me to be like, oh, wow, 2 million views on the channel. That is nothing. Some people get 2 million views on a single video on the first day. Like I'm getting nowhere. But with this, just like with your health or with anything else, it's important to remember that rapid success is the exception, not the norm. And you are getting someplace, and you just need to zoom out and see that you are, and see how much you've learned, and see what a different place you are in now than where you used to be. It's also about finding small things to look forward to on this journey. So I did this when I was sick. I would plan whether it's a nice dinner or whatever it might be, but something every few weeks, and I'd put it on my calendar and I'd have it planned in advance. So it was something I'm looking forward to. And right now it's snowboarding with Jeffrey and I. So we have a trip planned every few weeks. So I'm just kind of like head down, work hard for a few weeks, but then I know I get to go and just like slide down the side of a mountain on a slippery board for a few days, which is just amazing. So planning and having things to look forward to, really important and can help you to get through these things. And research shows that we get more enjoyment out of the anticipation of events than the actual events themselves. So you're doing yourself a disservice if you plan everything spontaneously. Give yourself the gift of having the chance to fantasize and think about and look forward to things, because you'll get so much more joy out of them. And just know that giving up isn't an option. Just like with my illness, I refused to accept any other outcome future for myself than getting well. I was either going to get well or die trying. I have the same attitude towards all of this, towards creating this life, this career, this freedom that I want. I will either get there or I will die trying. And just remembering that it's about getting up every day and doing the reps. It's like I say, like being at the gym, trying to build big biceps. You got to just go and keep doing those bicep curls, and eventually those biceps are going to come. And you're not going to see the progress really on any given day, but over time it is happening. And the more reps you put in and the more consistent you are, the faster you're going to get there. You don't need to be perfect. You can take days off. It's not going to undo your progress. But the consistency and just getting up every day and doing those reps and zooming out every once in a while to see, your trajectory and that you are getting somewhere. It's kind of how you get there. Having a healthy approach to goals is important too. Now, I think if you are working to recover from chronic illness, you're pretty motivated to get out of that as quickly as possible. And that is a very understandable goal to have. Or if you're working 2 jobs and burnt out, it's an understandable goal to only want to have 1 job. But there is something with goals, like we have to be careful, because setting unattainable goals can really wreck our mental health. And there's something called the arrival fallacy. So this is a term used to describe the false assumption that creating or achieving a goal will create lasting happiness in our life. So our natural wiring, or our hedonic adaptation, keeps us running. We reset to the baseline and start wondering what comes next. All right, I made it here. Now what? So achieving the last big goal is often never enough. And you can just keep yourself in this continual cycle of continually setting the scoreboard and then just getting in that place of thinking that happiness is always waiting for you in the future. So yes, have goals. Yes, work to eliminate suffering from your life. But also, as much as possible, I find it's really valuable to invest a lot of time and mental energy into figuring out how to just enjoy right now and be present right now and be content with what you have right now, and have a bias towards gratitude and focus on all that you do have instead of all that's missing. And all of the science and all of the research out there shows that happiness comes first, and then achieving your goals comes second. We think that goals first, then happiness. But for us to get where we're trying to go, we need to find that happiness first. The happiness fuels everything else that gets us to where we're trying to go. And confidence also gets us to where we're trying to go. Often we think we achieve the goals and then the confidence will come. That confidence and that belief in yourself and a belief in what you're trying to achieve also really fuels or determines your ability to achieve that goal. And confidence can be borrowed. It can be through watching, if you're working on your health, by watching recovery stories, seeing other people doing it, being like, okay, this seems to be possible. This seems to be possible. And then slowly just start internalizing that. Some of my biggest successes and things that bring me joy, having this team that I work with on this YouTube channel brings me a ton of joy. They are some of the most amazing humans on the planet. I truly mean it. They are incredible. They are rock stars. And I don't know how I have been so lucky to get such a team of amazing people, but I do. So it is a gift that they are working to make all of this way bigger than me and way bigger than I could ever make it and way more impactful through potential research that could be happening because of the recovery stories. Also one of my massive points of happiness and joy and pride. Some personal things. We moved a few months ago to finally, after 4 years in a 1-bedroom apartment, we're in a 2-bedroom, which means I get this whole space. That was better, right? That was better. I get this whole space to do this, which makes life way easier because there was so much equipment that I was setting up and taking down every week, and it was just exhausting. And getting this little guy, yes, you, has been amazing. And we're looking at getting him an adopted sister in a few months because he definitely needs a friend. He thrives having little animals around him. So that's exciting. And as much as I'm working to not work 2 jobs, I've secured a full-time job, a permanent job recently. I'd been on contract work for quite a long time. So that job security is a really good thing. So, and it's a good team of people. So I'm grateful for that and for them as well. Okay, if you've been with me this whole time, I know this is kind of a long, rambly video. I appreciate you sticking with me. I hope something in here has been helpful, or at the very least, mildly entertaining. Well, even Blue wants to leave. Okay, this part I think is really important. It's navigating life post-recovery. And some of the biggest challenges have been expecting myself to be perfect. I thought I'd learned all these lessons and I would never go back to how I used to be. But then life came back and I, in many ways, went back to how I used to be. So it's realizing that it isn't a destination of perfection. It's never going to look like that. And it's going to be just like recovery. It's not a straight line. Post-recovery isn't a straight line with your habits, your lifestyle, your balance. Sometimes you kind of slip back into old habits, and it's about not letting yourself get stuck there, just catching it, being aware of it, and pulling yourself out of it as quickly as possible, not judging yourself, being kind to yourself, reminding yourself that everybody struggles and nobody gets it all right, and that's okay. It's also been about finding, understanding and believing and having trust in the fact that I, as a human being, am resilient and not being scared. Like for the first couple of years, pretty much every time I felt unwell, I started getting quite scared. Like, is it coming back? What is this? Is it normal to be tired right now? Is it normal to feel unwell? And just knowing that it is normal to feel unwell. We're going to keep feeling unwell at different times for the rest of our lives. And that we are resilient and that we can take it. Okay, so I thought quite hard about what some of the concrete things are that keep me on track for different areas of my life. So looking at mental health, physical health, relationships, and then kind of just overall life management. And I will link all of these things for things that there are links or further information in the video description, should you want to check them out. So mental health. One of the game changers for me was, I've talked about this a lot, so much so that I reached out to the founder of the company and asked them for if they would consider giving me an affiliate link, because I just do a ton of free advertising for them. And if I'm going to talk about it, I need to find ways to reach my goals. So we'll see. I don't have an affiliate link yet as of today, but it was through Soma Meditation, and this is a guy named Sam Wright runs it, and he is incredible, an amazing human. I will still keep promoting it for free, even without affiliate link. But it really helped me to understand meditation for the first time after years of really not getting it and really struggling to be consistent. And incorporating, it's a Vedic meditation, is the approach that he teaches, has just been transformative. So grateful for that. And then another one is journaling. I've always done journaling, but as with everything else that was important in illness, it's been important in post-illness as well, because we need moments to unpack and reflect and, process things. And I've been doing it all for the last few years through an app called Notion, which I use as my second brain. It just organizes absolutely everything in my life. It's incredible. If you haven't checked it out, it's free. And this is okay. I mean, years ago, I used to do it by hand. And I think any way you journal, you got to find what works for you. They can all be helpful. But my old journals were all by hand. And then when I wrote my book, I wanted to read them so I could really make sure I was capturing my experience of when I was unwell. And reading through all these handwritten journals and capturing the main themes was kind of a nightmare. It took forever. So this digital version is better, but still not amazing. So I started only just this year using AI-powered journaling through an app called Rosebud. And it is incredible. It's like having a journal that talks back to you, that is supportive, gives you insights, kind of summarizes themes, helps you see things that you might not see. If you want it to, it will suggest things for you to consider to make things better. It gives you like daily, mantra, that's not the right word, quotations, motivations, just things tailored directly to you. It points out things and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't see it that way. And it just feels like this supportive, kind friend. So it is super powered my journaling to a whole nother level. And Rosebud you can use for free as well. There are paid versions that give you more, but the free version does a lot. So it's really cool. And it can help with recovery as well from illness, because it will see patterns and things that you probably aren't seeing, whether it's certain activities leading to certain symptoms or, and you can ask it questions and it will answer them based on all of your entries. And it gives you weekly summaries about, your week, insights, things to think about, and so forth. Physical health. One of the biggest things was an app called Future Fitness. So they originally reached out to me. I'd never heard of them, to sponsor a video. And they gave me a free month to try it, as all of these brands do, because they want you to be able to talk about it as if someone who's actually used it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get it, but there's no way I'm going to keep it. I've been working out for years. I know what I'm doing. I don't want anyone telling me what to do. But it's amazing. I haven't stopped using it. I got my first free month and I've been paying for it ever since. And what it is, it's not just an app, is you have your own personal trainer that every week creates tailored workouts for you. And then you give them feedback and they keep tweaking them and they make it exactly how you want. And it's a very supportive thing. It's not like a boot camp thing or anyone being hard on you. It's just someone who shows up with kindness, whether you do your workouts or not. They are there for you and just really cheering you along. And besides having it tailored for me, which I love, I'm like, okay, next week's a busy week, make them shorter, or give me an extra one, or give me one less. It's really the accountability. When I know those workouts are already loaded up in my phone, in my app, and my trainer's wonderful, and she leaves me these voice, messages at the beginning of each one, like, hey, Raelan, great job showing up today for your workout, and like just really motivational. And when I know it's there and she's put in all the work and all I have to do is just, the gym's in my building, I just have to walk over and do it. With how crazy these last however long has been, I wouldn't have been really probably working out at all. So Future Fitness, I'll link it in the video description. You can, just do small, gentle things, restorative stuff, whatever you want. But if you're at all struggling to stay consistent or to figure out what to do with your exercise routine, if this is a place in your life where you're looking to exercise, something like this is a game changer. Another one you probably see me wear in videos for quite a long time now is the Oura Ring. So it is, if you're not familiar, it's just like a wearable tech, and it gives you all sorts of data about what's happening in your body, all sorts of information about your sleep, about your exercise, your activity levels. And it keeps getting better and better and better with all the updates. So like it monitors like your body temperature, your heart rate variability, your blood oxygen levels. It also monitors your stress. Like you get a graph in the app every day showing you different times a day when your stress peaks, when it drops. It gives you a readiness score every day based on all of these different factors, seeing how much energy, how much do you have to give on any given day? If it's high, it'll tell you today might be a day to consider, taking something on. Or if it's low, it's like dial it back today. For whatever reason, your heart rate didn't lower enough last night, your heart rate variability wasn't great, today is the day to rest and recover and take it easy. And it gives you a sleep score and it shows you how much deep sleep you get. And I love all this sorts of data, anything that helps me stay on track. And it also helps me with denial. So if I want to pretend that junk food and alcohol isn't impacting my life, all I have to do is look at the charts and the stats and the trends in the app for the Ring, and it's very clear what an impact those things are having. So it's another form of accountability and keeping me on track. And the last thing is something I just started a few months ago. It's called NeuroSim, and it is a vagal neuromodulation. I might be getting that wrong, but this is, in our high-tech world, what this is essentially, in a nutshell, a remote to turn off your fight or flight system. And I, more than most people, have come to appreciate how important this is, and having a history of chronic fatigue syndrome that I now believe without a doubt was absolutely a nervous system situation happening. I get how important it is. So it's a simple thing. You clip it on your ear, and you can do it a couple times a day for maybe 30 minutes. You turn it on, and it through these little pulses, it stimulates your vagus nerve. And there's a ton of research and science to back this up. This is not new. It used to be something that was available only through surgery. You had to get it, approved by a doctor, and then an implant would be put in your body, and it was a whole thing. But now, anyone who wants it can get it. You don't need a doctor to approve it, and it's non-invasive, and you just clip it on. So for me, what I notice, it seems to help with stress. If I have a really stressful day, or if I'm in a stressful moment, or even a stressful meeting at work, I'll clip this on. If I wake up in the night and I can't sleep, I'll clip it on, and it seems to help me get back to sleep faster. And overall, it's just supposed to help with recovery from athletic performance and cognition and memory and a zillion other things. Also, relationships I realize they're very important. I'm working to build a bigger community around me. I have this community, which is amazing, but I also need actual warm bodies in my life that I can interact with. So, I'm very grateful to Jeffrey, my husband. He's been amazing and supportive. I've had a rough couple of years, and you see all my smiles, he sees all my tears and my frustration and that. So I'm just focusing on pouring more effort into that, into this little guy, getting him a buddy because he deserves that, and also on connecting with other people and women and making friends in my community. So there's a bunch of us in the building that have started once a month meeting in this clubhouse in our common area and just getting together to hang out. So just working on building up relationships, because isolation and loneliness, they say, is worse than smoking for your health. It's not how we evolved to thrive. We're social beings, and it's easy to get isolated and spend all of our time staring at digital devices, but that's not how we're happiest. All right, so as I move forward, one of the biggest things I think that's helping me to just stay focused and make good choices is using something that they call temporal landmarks. So we recently kicked off a new year, and lots of people make resolutions, and there's a reason for that. And it takes more than just, making resolutions. You have to have habits and plans and an environment that helps you to stay on track. But it can be powerful, and people are, studies show, way more successful with sticking to their goals when they set a date and decide to start doing it from that date, as opposed to just I should get better with my money, I guess I'll start that now, versus why don't I start it the first of the month? I'll start budgeting and tracking and all of that. And it's because we can create a distance between an old self and a new self. So 2023 Raelan used to do this, but I'm 2024 Raelan now. And I say this to myself all the time. This is 2024 Raelan. She wears hoodies and ponytails and enjoys the moment and enjoys the process and has good coping skills and finds happiness in the moment and has gratitude for her surroundings and no longer leans on, unhealthy coping mechanisms or focuses on everything that's going wrong. She does all of this. So 2024 Raelan is excited about this year. I think this is going to be a really good year. I'm so excited to see where I am at the end of this year and reflect back on this. I think for a lot of us, this could be a really good year globally. On New Year's Eve, during the day, I went hiking with some friends and my friend Kristen, and we were talking, and she's like, it was about to be the new year the next day, and she's saying this needs to be a better year. Next year needs to be a better year, which is now this year. And she's like, 2023 was rough. And I said, yeah. I said, well, it's better than 2022. I'm like, and 2021, like, and 2020. Like, those are some low bars. But most of us have had some rough years. But this feels like a good opportunity for us to really thrive and do well. And just for our 2024 self, just to really kick butt. So let me know in the comments. Not all of us know who are watching. Inspire us. Let's just let this optimism and positivity and motivation kind of ripple outward in the world. What's 2024 you look like? What is 2024 you excited about? And what do you see 2024 you being most proud of on December 21st, December 31st, when you're looking back at the year and just being so proud of all that you've accomplished? And what does that look like? Where do you see yourself ending up? What is 2024 you all about? I'm excited. Thank you. If you watched this whole video, oh my goodness. Thank you for sticking with me. And thank you for supporting me on this journey in whatever way you have. So many of you have been incredible with comments, or even just hitting the like button or the subscribe button, or, sending me messages, supporting me, with buying books or taking courses or whatever it might be. I hope that some of this has been helpful. I'm so grateful for all of you. I feel so connected to so many of you. Even if we don't talk, I see your comments and I start to recognize some of the recurring names. I'm like, oh, that person, haven't heard from them for a while. And I don't have the time to do anything more than tap the heart button for the most part. But I do see you and I hear you and I appreciate you. So thank you for all the love that you've been sending me. It's overwhelming. The messages that people send me are so kind and just so moving. And on our little team here, Irina, Hansel, and Brian, and Beth and I, we share them and do screenshots and be like, oh my goodness, can you believe this person, or, oh, this person put a super thanks on a video, even though they said, what financially tight place they're in. Like, how incredible is it that they were so generous? So thank you. I can't wait to read your comments, and sending love and hugs to you with whatever you're going through. And I'd love to hear an update on how things are going in your life as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope to see you in the next video.